Welcome to Unapologetically Sensitive, where you can learn, relate, laugh, and maybe even live a bolder, brighter life. I'm your host, Patricia Young, licensed clinical social worker. This is a weekly podcast where we explore the strengths we have because of our sensitivity and some of the challenges it poses as well. The information in this podcast is not a substitute for help from a licensed mental health professional. Hey there. This is bonus episode 21. It's the day after Thanksgiving. I realized when I listened to the episode yesterday, I forgot to mention that people in the US and Canada are listening to the podcast. And I was just going off the statistics that I get from my podcast host. So if you happen to have listened to the episode yesterday and you are listening from a country that I didn't mention, please let me know where you're listening from. I'm really kind of fascinated to see how far this is reaching. Anyways, my misfortune is an episode for a podcast. And yesterday on Thanksgiving, if you've ever watched the Netflix show The Good Place, they don't say swear words. So I'm going to tell you that I totally lost my shirt yesterday. And it wasn't my shirt that I lost. If you take out the R, that's what I lost in the biggest way that I have lost my shirt in years. It wasn't pretty. So in the morning, I was already feeling overwhelmed and stimulated. I've told you it's been a challenging week. I've got 3 boys in my house. I've had to relocate my office. I don't do change really well. I like my routine. There's just still continues to be a lot going on. So in the morning, we had the boys do some cleaning to get ready for Thanksgiving, and I'm still kind of worn out, so I'm in a little bit of a blaming mood. So I just want to own that. So my husband had the brilliant idea to have my son put on some very loud rap music to get him into the mood to clean. Now, if you're an HSP and your nervous system is already pretty frazzled, that is not calming to the soul. So it was really challenging. So I just popped my headphones in and tried to listen to something that worked. And after a while, when I realized how rattled I was, I asked my son if I could give him my wireless headphones so he could do his work. And we did end up working it out. But because I was already feeling so tense and irritable and frazzled, I've told you that I use Marco Polo. So I had gone to Marco Polo, my support system, and was joking about, I love noise. I love stimulation. I love when there's a lot to do. I like change. Joking because it was getting to me. Last night, I had to go take somebody to a medical appointment. I didn't get home till 9 o'clock. And I had been boiling the turkey neck and extra stuff on the stove for a couple of hours to add to the drippings from the turkey. And I left instructions with my husband. I set the timer for 2 hours. And, when the 2 hours went off, I wanted him to drain the neck and all the parts out of, what I was going to use for gravy, discard the neck and everything else, and then add it to the drippings in the fridge. So today when everybody is at my house and I'm in the kitchen and I'm running behind because I'm not doing so great at time management right now, I go to pull the drippings out of the fridge and what I'm expecting to see the rest of the stuff I'm going to use for the gravy. And there's the drippings and fat congealed in the chicken neck, bones, skin, just all this stuff. I lost my shirt. I said a handful of choice words. I just really lost it. And it has been a really long time since I have lost it the way that I lost it today. We realized once I started to figure out what I needed to do that we needed some milk. And I shouldn't even say this, my son's 18 years old, but he's like, is there anything you need me to get? I'm like, a new husband. I had such a huge reaction and I found myself wanting to stay really invested in being angry. And this is not typically how I operate. I know when I'm getting frustrated, I communicate pretty well, but I'll tell you, that was not the case today. I did go and poloed again to my support system, said that I get to be the word rhymes with itch and you add a B to it, that's the crown that I won today. And as we poloed back and forth, one of my friends said that she won the victim award for the day. So the day just is full of challenges for everybody, and really being able to talk about what was going on, to not have shame about it, to just be able to express what was going on, I think really helped to move through it. I did not move through it super quickly. My husband felt horrible. My reaction was a 10 to something that probably should have been a 4. And as I gave myself time to process through it, I did talk with him and I apologized. He felt terrible. Yeah, he felt really, really bad. In retrospect, my reaction was very damaging to him personally. I mean, he's going to live and he's fine, but I just have regret. And it's interesting because when I was still angry, for some reason he likes to buy packaged gravy every year, bottled or boxed or whatever you call it, gravy. And so we had his in a pan on the stove waiting to heat it up as I was fixing this other gravy. And, I told him, I'm like, I don't want you to have any of the homemade gravy. Like, you don't get to have any. And he's like, believe me, I'm not going to have any. And I was kidding. I was still upset. But, this really triggered something in him that I feel really bad about. So as we were talking and I was telling him, like, I just feel really invested in holding on to this anger and I'm having a hard time letting go, then the tears started to come. And, I've just been under an incredible amount of pressure. There's been so much stress for well over a month now, and it's kind of coming at me from all angles. And it was not about the gravy. Like, it was so not about the gravy. So I cried and he held me and we talked and I apologized a number of times and he still felt terrible and I felt terrible that my losing it came out on him. And it was not about the gravy, and I apologized for creating, it can be traumatic for people to hear other people get angry, especially if we grew up with parents that were angry and we had a lot of yelling or swearing. And I don't want to create an unsafe environment. My boys are 18, they've heard it all, and I don't think that it shakes them up, but I did talk to them. And one of my sons, since he's been home this weekend, I've not just been as connected with him and part of it. And I talked to him and I said, I'm feeling stressed to the max. And what happens is when the bank of mom is depleted and I feel like you're not making any deposits into the bank of mom and you're wanting to make withdrawals, that just doesn't work for me. So we talked a little bit about what that looked like. And I made it really clear that this was going on before he got home, but because it felt like once he got home, he was wanting to make more withdrawals from the bank of mom. And the bank of mom is pretty much out of money right now. And the bank of mom isn't about money. It's about emotional resources, time, well-being, contentment. So even though I use the money analogy with the bank of mom being out of money, I'm really talking about that sense of depletion. And if you want to make a withdrawal, you need to deposit some time, some energy, some investment. You got to give before you take. It just felt nice to be honest, to do some repair work for the kids that were here. I apologized, made it really clear that it had nothing to do with them. It was where I was at. I still was pretty frazzled today, and it was challenging having way more people in the house than I would choose. We had young kids in the house. I feel like I'm turning into that crabby old lady. I want to use the word acceptance, but it feels like it's tolerance. And I think because I'm becoming aware of my needs as an HSP, and I don't think I've been aware of them up until now. I think my way of managing has been to overeat. I just overeat and get numb and I kind of check out. I'm not doing that. I'm pretty aware and feeling how challenging it can be to have all of these things going on. I noticed even as the evening wore on and things happened, like I just wanted to go into blaming. I'm already a blamer. And we joke that if something's missing in the house, I'm like, where did you put my stuff? Where did you move my things? And then I find it and it's like, oop, I'm a blamer. One of my sons is like that too. So whenever that happens and he's blaming and then he finds it, I'm like, okay, so this is what you need to say. I'm a blamer. And he goes, I'm a blamer. I say, like my mother. He goes, like my mother. So again, this is how we deal with stuff in our household, that we joke about it, we talk about it, we laugh about it. It was kind of funny this morning. I had made an announcement before all this stuff happened that, I was being a B word. And I told you that my son's roommate is here from Korea, and I apologize for my, call it itchiness. And he didn't understand what that meant. I said, I'm just very crabby today, and I'm very sorry. It's okay, no problem. And what I know is this morning, probably at 7 o'clock, a neighbor of mine texted me and said, I totally messed up something I was baking. Do you have 3 cups of sugar I can have? I'm like, totally fine. So I went over to her house and dropped some sugar off. And then this evening she said, I dropped the pie on the floor, totally ruined it, totally broke. We actually had an extra pie, so I'm like, hey, we have an extra pie from Costco if you need it, but I think they'd already left. And the point of me sharing that is, I am not the only one that had a hard time today. I know that it was a challenging day for a number of people for a number of reasons. If you are up to it, I would love to hear, what was your day like? Was it peaceful? Was it blissful? Did you not hang out with anybody today? Who lost their shirt? If you lost your shirt today and you feel like you can't control it, and you have confidence in the fact that I can manage it after I lose my shirt. I do work with people in California online or in San Diego. You can hop on over to my website at Patricia Young, LCSW. We have a Facebook group called Unapologetically Sensitive. You can drop me an email at unapologeticallysensitive@gmail.com. Remember, sensitivity is nothing to apologize for. It's our superpower. Have a blessed day.